Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special holiday edition of Suncoast Fyi. I'm your host, Kathy Leone, in for Nancy O'Neill, who will be back to host Suncoast Fyi in January. COVID-19 has taken its toll on the most vulnerable among us in the last 8 months, pushing local charities to do more often with less. Today, we want to introduce you to some charities on the Suncoast that are making a difference in the lives of those in need this holiday season. We start with Season of Sharing, which is described as a virtual safety net for neighbors to support one another. Herald Tribune writer Angie DeMichael joins us now to tell us more. Thank you so much for joining us today. We talked a little bit about this off camera. I've been reporting in this town for 27 some odd years, and I have a hard time describing what Season of Sharing is. So can you tell everyone what exactly it is?
Absolutely, and thank you guys so much for having me today. So Season of Sharing is like you said, a safety net in our community that was created 20 years ago as a partnership between the Community Foundation of Sarasota County and the Herald Tribune Media Group. And the fund is, the way it was described to me, as a community savings account, or like a community kind of pot of money that we have to protect our neighbors and help our neighbors with. So in its 20 years, the Season of Sharing campaign has given over $28 million to more than 35,000 families, and that's in Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte, and DeSoto counties. And you know, recently in March, the Community Foundation reactivated their campaign in a time where they normally wouldn't be fundraising, because they realized our community was going to be in need because of the coronavirus pandemic. So it's been there for our community in 2008, 2009 during the economic recession. Mm-hmm. It's been here for people who have been affected by red tide, hurricanes, and now we have the coronavirus pandemic. So through all of these crises that our community has faced over the years, Season of Sharing has been that constant. And now, we have some federal funding, we have CARES Act dollars, there are other grants that are assisting families right now. But when those dollars go away, Season of Sharing is still there. So for the social workers, the agencies that are in the network, Season of Sharing is going to be there, after everything else is gone. So it's a constant in the community that neighbors are helping neighbors, and people rely on to get them over a hump or to help them overcome an unexpected expense like their car breaking down, or now in the pandemic for those who have lost their job or their hours have been cut back.
Yeah, well, we were saying it's so many folks everywhere live paycheck to paycheck, and it is just one thing, and it'd be surprising. You would think some people you wouldn't think that needed help that actually do. But as you were saying, people, for various reasons through the years need this help. But this pandemic has really affected us in such a profound way everywhere, through every organization. But you, being a dedicated reporter for this, you're dealing with those folks out there really one-on-one. It's that added stress. Are you seeing that added sort of stress to this whole situation?
Absolutely. And, every person I've interviewed and profiled and written about since coming to the Herald Tribune in August has been affected by the coronavirus. So, I think of, there were 2 housekeepers I wrote about who, all of their clients shut their doors and they were out of work and could no longer pay their rent, or were scrambling to find side jobs to be able to pay rent. I also think of a lovely woman who's a teacher's aide at a school in Sarasota County who, I called up on the phone, I had her number and her name and a couple sentences about, her scenario, which is her husband died from coronavirus. And, this was a couple of weeks into this role. So I think of her, you know, her husband is one of those numbers. And it's easy to think about those who are out of work now or those who have died from the coronavirus as numbers. But this job, I've been able to put a face and a name to that in our own community. So I think, you know, instead of numbers and statistics about coronavirus, I think of Mary and Diana, the housekeepers, and I think of Ivan, who, you know, they were soulmates for 40 years, and just the trust that they have to let a complete stranger, you know, come into their home. I meet up with them in their home if they're comfortable. Just the trust that they have to talk about some of their hardest days financially and emotionally with a complete stranger, and then agree to have that in our community newspaper. It really comes down to trust.
Yeah.
And that's something that the Community Foundation built Season of Sharing on, is trust. And I think that that's really been amplified by the coronavirus.
Well, it's such, as you said, such brave folks for sharing their stories. Thank you for bringing their stories to us. How can the community help? How can we help out?
So the Community Foundation, their annual fundraising campaign for Season of Sharing officially runs from November through January 31st. I know that the Community Foundation has it set up on their website so folks can donate there. People can also donate by mail or over the phone. And so those are all, you know, options for people who feel like Season of Sharing is something that they want to give their time or money to.
Well, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, next we're going to introduce you to a woman who has dedicated several years to helping children and adults in our community. Lucy McAndrew joins us next. Stay with us. Welcome back. Lucy McAndrew, Executive Director of Suncoast Charities for Children, joins us now. Hello. So good to see you.
Kathy, it's great to be here.
This is, Lucy, you are one of the busiest people on the Suncoast. I have to say, I've known you for over 20 years, and you really are. And of course, you are the Executive Director of Suncoast Charities for Children. Tell us about how does Suncoast Charities help those in need?
Well, right now we're providing support to over, 6 agencies here in the county-wide area, all the way from Northport through Sarasota. Our mission is to serve children, teens, and adults with special needs. So the agencies very quickly include the Florida Center for Early Childhood, Loveland Center, Sarasota County Special Olympics, Children First, and Venice Challenger Baseball. And these agencies have locations now into Charlotte County, Sarasota County, even into Manatee County, so we're spreading the reach. And every year, from all the events that we hold, we provide a grant to the Suncoast Foundation. And then that grant is dispersed among those agencies in a number of ways.
Well, the year of the pandemic, so it's obviously affecting everything and everybody, so how has it affected the charity?
Well, we really had to do what I call a reset. We got through, we're unlike a lot of charities in that 98% of our funding comes from special events. That's where our funding comes from. So you can imagine when the pandemic hit, we had to reset. We got through Thunder by the Bay Music and Motorcycle Festival in February of 2020, and then everything really hit in March. So a lot of our typical events, we couldn't do the Grand Prix Festival this year.
Right.
But what we did do, we couldn't have a race, we did a boat fun run. We couldn't have a golf tournament, but we did a golf series scramble. We couldn't do a big kickoff party, but we did smaller party. We did a comedy night where we could safely social distance. So we were able to do some fundraising, not at the level, of course, of what we're used to, but we just regrouped and did the best we can, and we're already looking into 2021. How we do things will be a little different. Our setups will be a little different, but we feel we need to move forward, do the best that we can, and hopefully return to normal once the vaccine comes out and things settle down with the virus.
And as you said, regrouping, reorganizing. I know that the organization sort of stepped away from the powerboat race, but and that is to give you more time to actually raise money for the charity, correct?
Yes, that was part of our board strategic planning. What COVID did allow us this year is to really focus on the events we were doing and what the financial return is to the charity. In the early days, the race has been going on for 36 years. When it first started, that's what formed Suncoast Charities for Children. And over the past several years, actually the last decade, it's become more of an economic impact generator. Now, certainly it's important to our fundraising that we do around it.
Exactly.
So basically what we're going to do is the charity is going to focus on all the events around the race.
And someone else.
And Visit Sarasota County and Power About P1 are going to focus on organizing, producing the race, which is going to be a perfect match. So we can focus on what we do best, they can focus on what they do best.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 more questions. I know we're going to run out of time quickly because we could talk forever.
No, yeah.
But Thunder by the Bay is another thing that you said
Yeah.
is going to move forward a little differently, and that's something that's going to be coming up quickly in February, correct?
Yeah, February 19th through the 21st. And again, we put a lot of thought into this. Because of what we're experiencing, we felt it's better to move forward with an event that's going to morph in how it's set up than to totally cancel.
Right.
Sooner or later, we have to start fundraising again because the needs and the requests of the agencies we support have spiked tremendously because of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So we have got to focus on fundraising. You'll see some things different. You won't be able to stand in front of the stage like you used to hear the music, but we'll have designated areas. We'll have temperature checks. We're going to have enhanced sterilization and cleaning. We have new rules for our vendors that are coming in. So we're still going to have a festival. It's still going to be fun, but it's also going to have a lot of COVID regulations, if you will, to abide by the CDC guidelines. And we actually have a COVID page right on our website. And I think moving forward with other events, you're going to see the same thing. We're in a lot of communication with bigger events around the state of Florida, the Florida State Fair, Gasparilla, and how they're doing things. So I think as special event planners, we have to keep communicating to keep the public safe.
Oh yeah, a brave new world here.
It is a brave new world.
So for folks who want to learn more or want to help out, how can they get to you guys?
Please visit our website, suncoastcharitiesforchildren.org. Our phone number is on there. We have an email on there. If you can't give money, think about giving your time.
Yes.
You know, whether it's the holiday season or not, there's a big need out there. So please check us out, and you'll see a timetable of all the projects we've been able to help fund and the needs that are out there currently.
Oh, Lucy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad we could do this.
I am too. All right, next we'll show you how a nonprofit here on the Suncoast is making sure kids have gifts under the tree on Christmas morning. Stay with us. Hello everyone and welcome back to Suncoast Fyi. Joining me now is Rochelle Herman, Project Manager for Toys for Tots Sarasota Chapter, and we want to thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Such a busy time for everyone, and you have a lot going on.
Yes.
How is Toys for Tots dealing with the pandemic?
Well, we have our protocol, which we take very seriously, and it's been challenging. That's the perfect word. It's very challenging through the pandemic. So.
Well, tell us how Toys for Tots works, because then we'll get into how it really has been challenging for you guys. So tell us about Toys for Tots.
Okay. Well, people, you have a child in need of gifts, underprivileged children. You can you go online and you fill out an application, and you register, and you give a list of what the child wants for Christmas, or children, and then it's submitted, and then we contact you, and there's a lot of communication, as far as how to pick up the toys, whether you're going to come and pick them up yourself. We have specific days laid out, and it's very orderly, but we keep as best as we possibly can to the child's list, as closely matched as possible. So, the VFW in Sarasota, Untitled, that has been a distribution center for us for a long time. We're grateful for that, and that's where people can go. But when it's selected times when they can go and gather their gifts that they've asked for.
So that is the main part of this, the giving of the gifts to those in need. But
yes.
That is one part, but then it's the people of the community who drop off the gifts for those. And we usually see these bins all over stores and restaurants and whatnot, and really there's not been a lot of it this year, and I'm sure it's due to the pandemic.
Right, it is, unfortunately. Business owners and individuals, residents who normally would have events, have parties, they haven't been doing that. They've opted not to have boxes allowed on premise because it just invites people in, and that's what we're trying to keep separated,
Right.
you know.
But we have some, there's some restaurants in towns that do have some that you said you wanted to mention as well.
Yeah, well, there's Outback on South Tamiami Trail. They have a Toys for Tots box there. Gecko's, all their locations have Toys for Tot boxes as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
That is really good, because I know people look out for them. So if we can't get to those boxes, and you say you can't get to some place like a Gecko's, which does have lots of locations, so, and really thanks to them for actually
Right.
keeping those there, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can either go online, they can just Google Toys for Tots Sarasota, and the website will come up, and you'll email. Jim Lamb actually is the person who gets the majority of all the emails. He's the Chief Operations Coordinator and the founder of the Sarasota chapter of Toys for Tots. So, and then he'll distribute, you know, the emails where they need to go, but we will pick up as well. So if whether, you know, drop off, if you have just a few, we can tell you where possibly you could drop them off, but if that's not possible, there's, you know, we'll pick up for you.
There's always a way. There's
Yeah.
will, there's a way.
Yes, there is.
So now we're talking a great need to the pandemic. You said some 300%, maybe some locations in need, under what there's needed.
That's
And you
right.
desperately need older children's toys, correct? And what else?
That's typically every year, is for older children. And what's happening now, because the boxes are not available, is that people are donating money. So it's really a virtual drop box. And to make a monetary donation just desperately helps us out, because we're able to purchase and buy really closer to what the children are asking for. So.
That's fair. Now, we're running out of time. We could talk about this all day, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. But tell us about the end result when that child gets that toy that they normally wouldn't have, or the parents know that that relief that their child is going to get something.
That's what makes it all worthwhile for us, is because we don't want a child to feel that they were forgotten, and that's our goal, is for every child to be remembered. For us to show them that by simply, you know, giving them a gift. So.
Thank you for all you do for the
You're very
community,
welcome.
and
It's a pleasure.
And easy to give. And just tell us one more time what to Google to get more information.
Sure, just Google Sarasota Toys for Tots, and it will pop right up to our website.
Thank you so much for joining us
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to thank all of our guests for being with us today and doing so much. And thank you for watching us today on this special holiday edition of Suncoast Fyi. Nancy O'Neill will return to her hosting duties in January for the start of our next season of Suncoast Fyi in 2021. And until then, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.